in the sparkling water of the River Wye in Wales. They are launching canoes and trying to paddle people towards inner transformation.
There's huge science behind it. So for the last 10 years we've been doing research on looking at what happens to the connections of nature and significant shifts in hopefulness, in mood, in self-esteem and confidence.
I suffer from really bad depression. Just literally lock myself in my room and just play computer or listen to music, lay in my bed.
20-year-old Harry Harmer says he had to overcome fear and force himself to get into that canoe. He's part of a group of young people suffering anxiety and varying forms of depression. He doesn't usually leave his house in England, sometimes for weeks at a time, and suddenly he's got to navigate rapids.
Being out here in the nature is a really, really special thing for me because it's just so beautiful. And I feel like if every person that is going through like depression and all that, go out in nature, like do something like this, go out canoeing or whatever, it's just really like calms you down, like when you see the water. I just don't get depressed. Like I have too much, like I have no thoughts in my head because I'm too busy rowing and looking at the view. It's just really good.
For 3 days they are paddling, just today navigating and pushing through 12 miles of river. It's called Wilderness Therapy, run by therapist Joe Roberts.
We're taking people right out of a comfort zone. Most of our young people are urban. Most of our young people do not get a lot of contact with wild nature. And what happens in wild nature is that it's unpredictable. And you have to find ways of managing yourself in this environment. And that's the power of the magic of working in nature. It's learning to adapt, adjust, and go with the flow. We are going with the flow here. But this flow is going to suddenly change, and we're going to have to change tack really quickly. And to me, that is a metaphor of life.
I get angry really easily over like smallest things sometimes.
16-year-old Kyle has a short fuse. At home, at school, here he's learning in a group to manage his temper.
It's changed me in a good way. When I first went on the river, because I've never been a boat before, the smallest rock of a boat would scare me and I'd get annoyed. And with these projects that I've been on, it's helped me to not hit anything or yell at anyone.
James suffers what he calls severe depression at times, but not out here.
I was a bit nervous about coming here, but like now I've been here a few days, it's like it's cleared my mind completely, and yeah, I just like feel almost like reborn, you could say.
Researchers at the University of Essex in England have tracked the program for a decade. They say there is science to support wilderness therapy directly linked to building self-confidence and being in nature.
What we do know is that self-esteem is increasing. There's a link between self-esteem and depression. So therefore, if somebody's on medication for depression, you'd think that these experiences would drag them in the right direction along with that medication.
There's a growing number of health professionals who think the key in fighting depression doesn't lie in prescribing more pills and medication, but in fact taking people out of controlled groups, teaching them how to overcome adversity, and also just physical exercise, the use of muscles acting as a filter in the body to rid the body of natural chemicals that have been linked to depression. A new study indicates exercise actually detoxes harmful chemicals from the body and can alleviate depression. Researchers in Sweden say skeletal muscle appears to protect the brain from mental illness by producing an enzyme which turns molecules linked to depression into a harmless acid.
What we found is that if you have trained muscle through exercise, you activate your muscle to filter that molecule out, so it prevents it from accumulating in your brain. I always remind people that muscle is basically 50% of your body. It's a lot of tissue detoxifying something that could be harmful for you.
After 5 hours of canoeing, Kyle is tired and annoyed, but holding his temper.
We're tired, our muscles are sore.
This is a group that talks of overcoming.
I'm in a really uplifting mood. I think the nature looks absolutely stunning now that we've got a bit of sun.
And what's your one word?
Challenging.
And we've got to really dig deep, keep our paddles going. It's like life. We're going to hit rocky bits in life where we're going to struggle. Let's use this river as a real test for ourselves, that when things get tough, we can just pull our way through it, okay? And just when stuff gets difficult when we get home again, just remember that feeling of just having to dig deep. We can do it.
And for Harry, something has clicked.
I think I can achieve a lot in life now. Feel more confident in myself, feel positive about myself.
Just another couple of miles to go, and reflections this day could be life-changing. I'm Dana Lewis, reporting for Insight.